I watched Honda's latest reveal, and honestly, it felt like a quiet reset button being pressed in public. According to reports from Tokyo, the company is steering hard back toward hybrids, and that matters because a lot of people were watching Honda's electric plans with raised eyebrows and a few awkward questions. Why? Because the market has changed fast, and Honda appears to be reading the room instead of pretending the room does not exist. That is exactly why this story clicked for me. It's not just about one sedan prototype sitting on a stage. It's about a company rethinking its direction, its timing, and maybe even its identity. If you have wondered whether Honda is moving away from a pure electric strategy or simply broadening the playbook, this is the part that makes things interesting. Here's what I think you'll get from this video. I'm going to break down what Honda showed, why the hybrid sedan prototype matters, what the Acura SUV prototype might mean, and how the announced plan for 18 new or revised hybrid models by 2030 could shape the next few years. I'll also keep this grounded because not everything on a stage is a final answer. Sometimes a prototype is a promise, and sometimes it's just a very polished question mark. Let me start with the big picture. At a global business event in Tokyo, Honda Global CEO Toshihiro Mibe outlined a much stronger hybrid push. According to reports, Honda wants 18 new or updated hybrid models by 2030, and many are expected to reach the US market. That's a serious shift. It says Honda is not waiting around for perfect conditions. It's choosing the lane that looks practical right now. And frankly, that makes sense. Hybrids have become the safe middle ground for buyers who want better efficiency without changing their whole routine. No dramatic learning curve, no charging anxiety, just get in, drive, and move on with life. Revolutionary? Not exactly. Useful? Very much so. Sometimes boring is profitable, and corporations tend to notice that eventually. The powertrain story is equally important. Honda says the updated two-motor hybrid system will reportedly be around 10% more efficient than before, while also cutting production costs by roughly 30%. That combination is the real headline. Better efficiency is nice, lower cost is even nicer. If those figures hold up, Honda could give itself more room to compete on pricing, margins, and volume at the same time. That's the kind of arithmetic executives love and consumers quietly benefit from. Honda also says it's accelerating work on a new platform and a new all-wheel drive system, with the first models expected around 2027. That tells me this isn't a one-off product refresh. It looks more like a broader engineering reset. And when a company starts talking about platforms instead of just models, that usually means the next wave is bigger than one fancy reveal under bright lights. Now, about that sedan prototype. Honda called it the Honda Hybrid Sedan Prototype, but let's be honest, it looks a lot like a future Accord wearing a sharper jacket. The front end appears more blocky, more upright, and just different enough to make people lean in and say, wait, is that the new one? Honda hasn't officially confirmed the final name, so I would keep expectations flexible. It could preview the next Accord, a Civic-sized variation, or even a separate model entirely. My read, the Accord connection feels the most natural. Honda would have a lot to gain from pairing a familiar name with a new hybrid system and a fresh platform. And if Honda decides the next version is hybrid only, that would line up with what several automakers are already doing, simplifying the lineup and making the hybrid badge do more of the heavy lifting. Not glamorous, but very effective. Cars don't need a dramatic monologue. They need to start, stop, and save fuel. Then there's the Acura SUV prototype. According to reports, the best guess is that it points toward the next RDX, which Honda had already indicated would become a future hybrid. Timing is said to be within the next 2 years. That matters because Acura needs clear product momentum too. A premium SUV with hybrid power could fit the current market better than a big theory about where the industry might be someday. The industry loves someday. Buyers mostly care about today. Honda also talked about advanced driver assist features, and that part shouldn't be overlooked. By 2028, the company says it wants to roll out a suite of enhancements that could handle point-to-point driving on preset routes while managing steering and acceleration along the way. That's not full autonomy, and it shouldn't be sold that way, but it's a meaningful step if executed well. The key phrase here is "if executed well," which is basically the slogan of modern technology. For North America, this looks especially significant. Honda says many of these hybrids will be built in the United States, with Ohio plants like Marysville and Ella Liberty likely handling a large share. That's good news for supply planning and local manufacturing. It also suggests Honda wants the hybrid rollout to be practical, scalable, and close to the customer base that buys a lot of these vehicles. In plain language, they're not just talking, they're lining up factories. Honda also plans larger hybrids later in 2029, which may include vehicles like the three-row Pilot SUV. That part feels smart to me, because larger family vehicles are exactly where hybrid power can make a lot of sense. You get the efficiency boost without asking shoppers to give up size, comfort, or road trip practicality. That's often where hybrid technology wins hearts, or at least wins grudging respect. So here's my take. Honda's move is not a retreat in the dramatic sense. It looks more like a recalibration. The company seems to be betting that hybrids can carry it through the next phase more reliably than an all-electric strategy that may have arrived before the market was fully ready. According to reports, Honda took a major financial hit on its earlier electric plans, and that appears to have forced a more grounded decision. Sometimes the smartest move isn't the flashiest one. Sometimes it's the one that sells, scales, and survives. And that's why this reveal matters. It's not just a new prototype. It's Honda telling the market very calmly that it has chosen a different pace. In a world full of big promises, that kind of realism almost feels rebellious. Maybe that's the real story here. If I had to sum it up in one line, I would say Honda is not chasing headlines, it's chasing relevance. That may sound less dramatic, but it's often how the strongest turnarounds begin. And in this case, the quiet part might be the loudest signal of all. That's not flashy, but it's real, and real is usually what survives after the hype fades away in time.